familiarizing yourself with in these troubled times. Here's a beginner's lesson from Mr. Brokaw of NBC News.
AAA, that's short for anti-aircraft artillery, the defensive fire that we have seen light up the skies over Baghdad. The Golden BB, that's the defense philosophy the Iraqis use, shoot everything you've got during an air raid. Sandy Duty, that's a term first used in Vietnam. It refers to those designated for search and rescue missions. Warhog, that's a slow, steel-encased, low-flying tank killer. Officially, it's known as an A-10. The Frogfoot is the Iraqi equivalent. The Pentagon says our Warthogs outnumber their Frogfoots 2-to-1. Furball, the chaos of an air-to-air dogfight. Wild Weasels are the fighter jets that send out electronic jamming systems to disable enemy radar.
And what about this one, Wing Weenie? Apparently it's an Air Force officer with a desk job. Of course, the Americans have been at war with the English language for some time, but spurred on by the Gulf crisis, they've now invented a new dialect that really calls a spade a garden implement. No longer are buildings or people horribly destroyed, they're merely taken out. For what, dinner and dancing? Civilian war casualties are referred to as collateral damage. To hit your enemy right where it hurts is to mount an offensive operation against his window of vulnerability. And planes don't crash anymore. They take an uncontrolled flight into the ground. Oh, no, not the ground, the Earth-sky interface. But this is the best one. Guess what permanent pre-hostility means? Give up? Permanent pre-hostility is Gulfish for peace. Frightening, really. Of course, it's very easy to blame the Pentagon for inflicting all this terrible language on us, but the reporters are just as bad. Take Arthur Kent from NBC, for example. Okay, he's quite good-looking for a skinny white boy, but he can't talk proper, especially when the bombs start falling. The man panics. Still, Arthur's a star. Yep, a regular page 3 pin-up, I want to have your children get me to the church on time sex symbol, only on 3.
Please, get us up. Hello, New York. This is Saudi Arabia. This is not a drill.
World War II had Betty Grable. The Persian Gulf has Arthur Kent. So says the San Jose Mercury News about America's newest heartthrob, NBC News correspondent Arthur Kent, who's been reporting on the war from Saudi Arabia.
There goes a patriot. Let's go.
KRON. Women of all ages have been calling NBC stations to ask about Arthur Kent. A headline calls him the pinup of the Persian Gulf. In the Bay Area, women have put Kent's picture up in the office, and some are wearing buttons for AKFC, the Arthur Kent fan club.
He's adorable, and the women just can't wait to see him come on the news.
I think women everywhere think he's hot.
People call one another in the morning, I know the women in our company do, and discuss not only what's happening with the war, but did you see Arthur Kent last night?
Arthur Kent makes Robert Redford, Tom Selleck, Paul Newman all look like limp rags.
As if the number...
Kent, who's 35, is a respected veteran reporter. He's covered the war in Afghanistan, the collapse of the Romanian government, and the Chinese uprisings in Tiananmen Square. Kent's agent says he is single and modest.
Here in this rear position, you know, I have to say that I think about the young kids on the front line, and those of us here feel we should stay at our posts.
Arthur, thank you very much. Go into the bunker with the others. We have your videotape report from earlier on. We'll get back to you, and you can come back and report on the latest events there. But go now into the bunker.
He's incredibly cute, and if people, you know, are not noticing him, they're crazy.
They don't want to watch anything else about the war. They just want to see Arthur. You know, what's going on? Is he going to come home? I've heard a couple women say they want to have his children.
Certainly the Arthur Kent phenomenon provides some comic relief and romantic diversion from the otherwise grim news of war. As one woman told me, if anything happens to Arthur Kent, even a scratch, the women of America will deal with Saddam.
Oh, well, I'm sure Arthur is a very nice man and very good at his job. But television is such an unforgiving medium. Hey, don't I know it? One day you're hot, and the next, it's foot and mouth
NBC's
time.
Arthur Kent is in Saudi Arabia tonight. Arthur?
Tom, the Iraqi Air Force tried to surprise Allied warships in the Gulf with Exocet missiles, but only one Exocet was fired unsuccessfully. And an unexpected hero got the better of attacking Iraqi pilots.
This next guy's cute too. His name's Ken Burslem. Stand by for the piece to camera, girls, as Ken reports from Hollywood on a movie made ahead of its time. At least with Vietnam, the fighting started before the filming.
No, this is not the Gulf, it's Hollywood.
Check the ACU circuit breakers. Armament circuit breakers back in. Maintain 300 feet.
And yes, the timing does seem a little inappropriate. To release in these troubled times a gung-ho story about fighter pilots.
They're out! Breaking left! Breaking left!
But what might have seemed the worst possible time to release such a movie has in fact turned out to be quite shrewd. Flight of the Intruder was to have risen to our screens almost a year ago, but its release was delayed, which could have been disastrous. But now, thanks to chance and Saddam Hussein, it has blitzed the box office just when Americans in particular seem in the mood for a movie with all the old-fashioned honor codes and heroics.
And particularly, as you see in the film, since they don't have any defensive weapons, when you've got guns at you and you have missile shot at you, you've got to make some pretty cool moves in a very short amount of time. And how you do that is always dependent on the other guy being in sync with you.
The reaction of critics to the movie was mixed, but the audience shelled out some $6 million in just the first weekend to take part in a military adventure in which they could be fairly certain the good guys would come through in the end. If only life was so straightforward. In Hollywood, Ken Burslem, 3 National News.